Let's talk about the history of slavery in America. It's a story where humanity was often forgotten, yet it's also a story of incredible strength against all odds. It all started in 1619, with the arrival of the first African slaves in Jamestown, Virginia, and it didn't end until slavery was abolished in 1865. Those tough times cast a long shadow that still reaches into today. This era shows us just how cruel people can be to each other when they're chasing money and power. It's crucial to share the personal stories of those who lived through it to truly understand the brutal reality of slavery. These stories show not just the suffering and mental anguish they went through, but also their incredible hope and resistance. We're going to see this tough part of American history through their eyes. The voices from the past, though centuries old, still influence today's discussions on freedom and human rights. We're not just going over old facts, we're bringing to life the stories of those who endured and fought to be seen as human. By understanding their hardships, we connect with them not just as figures from history, but as real people whose experiences teach us lessons that remain important today. In August 1619, a Dutch ship arrived at Point Comfort in the British colony of Virginia, carrying more than 20 enslaved Africans. This marked the beginning of a systemic, brutal chapter in North American history. These individuals were traded for food and supplies, a transaction that set the precedent for the commodification of human lives in what would become the United States. The personal story of Anthony and Isabella, a couple among those first enslaved Africans, highlights the personal dimensions of this history. They were baptized, given their names by their owners, and forced into labor. Despite the harsh conditions, they bore a child, William Tucker, in 1624, recognized as the first African child born in the English colonies. Their story is a testament to the resilience and continuity of life amidst unbearable conditions. As slavery entrenched itself, the colonial economy became increasingly dependent on it, especially in the southern states, where large plantations grew tobacco, cotton, and sugarcane. The labor of enslaved people was exploited to maximize profit, a grim reality that was legally sanctioned and morally justified through dehumanizing rhetoric. This economic dependency deepened societal divisions and set the stage for future conflicts. Resistance took many forms, from subtle acts of defiance to outright rebellion. Enslaved people sabotaged equipment, purposely worked slowly, and found ways to maintain their dignity and culture under oppressive circumstances. These acts of resistance were crucial in undermining the plantation economy and asserting their humanity. One of the most notable uprisings was led by Nat Turner in 1831. Nat, a preacher, believed he was chosen by God to lead his people to freedom. His rebellion in Virginia was one of the bloodiest, resulting in the deaths of 55 to 65 white people. In retaliation, harsher laws were enacted against all African Americans, enslaved or free, further entrenching the racial caste system in the South. Despite the violent suppression of such revolts, they had a significant impact, spreading fear among slaveholders and highlighting the untenable nature of slavery. These rebellions, along with the continuous everyday resistance, played a crucial role in keeping the issue of slavery at the forefront of national debates, eventually contributing to the onset of the Civil War. Section 4, the Abolition and the Civil War, a turning point. The Civil War, spanning from 1861 to 1865, was fundamentally a conflict over the future of slavery in America. Abraham Lincoln's election in 1860 on a platform that opposed the expansion of slavery was seen as a direct threat by the southern states, leading to their secession and the war's outbreak. This war would determine the fate of the Union and the future of slavery. Personal stories from the battlefield, like that of Sergeant William H. Kearney, who fought for the Union in the all-black 54th Massachusetts Regiment, bring to life the valor and struggle of African Americans during the war. Sergeant Kearney was the first African American to receive the Medal of Honor, exemplifying the courage and determination to fight not just for the Union, but for the promise of freedom. The Emancipation Proclamation of 1863, declared by Lincoln, freed all slaves in the Confederate States. This pivotal document did not end slavery outright, but it redefined the war's purpose and made abolition a central goal. The eventual Union victory in 1865 led to the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery throughout the United States, changing the nation's course forever. Section 5. Legacy and Reflection: The Shadows of History. The legacy of slavery is a persistent shadow over American society, influencing contemporary issues of racial inequality and injustice. The systemic racism that evolved from slavery affects many aspects of modern American life, from disparities in education and employment to ongoing racial prejudices and disparities in the criminal justice system. Reflecting on this era helps us understand the roots of these issues. It is imperative to acknowledge this past to address the inequalities that persist today. Learning from the resilience and struggles of those who lived through these times can inspire current and future generations to continue the fight for equality and justice. In conclusion, the journey from 1619 to 1865 is not just a historical study. It is an ongoing narrative that challenges us to reflect on our values and the kind of society we aspire to be. By facing these harsh truths, we honor the memory of those who suffered under slavery and take responsibility for shaping a more just and equitable future.